Total of 1.85 trillion naira was spent to import food within the period of 9 months during the closure of international land borders. This was revealed by the chairman of the Presidential Economic Advisory Council, Dr. Doyin Salami, speaking during the National Economic Outlook for 2021, organized by the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria. Dr. Salami says agriculture continues to decelerate, growing at 1.7% year to date, while consumer-sensitive sectors like manufacturing and distribution continues to contract in double digits, adding that this is a signal of the nation's lack of capacity to feed itself. According to him, serious climatic concerns are undermining agricultural outputs, with 2.5 million farmers being impacted by flooding in 2019. For many years, there have been series of suggestions and counter-suggestions on the need for the Nigerian government to diversify its economy away from proceeds from the oil sector, whose fluctuations have had its effect on the country's economic growth. The near negligence of the agricultural sector is bringing the cotton industry, a once vibrant economy, gradually grinding to a halt. The once flourishing industry has been brought to its knees as a result of numerous unfulfilling promises by the government to revitalize a sector that holds numerous potentials for the economy as a developing nation. Nigeria has now become over-reliant on imported goods, recording a high rate of purchasing power with about 80% of all finished consumer goods imported into the country. Dating back to the 90s, Nigeria's entry into the World Trade Organization compounded the woes of the textile industry as it opened the market to cheaper textile imports, predominantly from China, as well as second-hand clothing from the US and Europe. Let's now examine the possible interventions by the government or the private sector that will be focused on revamping the cotton industry in Nigeria. I have joining me the national president of the Association of Nigeria, Mr. Anebe Achimogu. He's joining us live from our Abuja studios. Thank you very much for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm going to start with efforts by the central bank and other agencies to try to revamp the cotton industry between 2018 and 2020. According to research, more than 340,000 cotton farmers were engaged. That's talking about the Anchors Bora scheme. Can you take us through what's been playing out with all of these efforts and what's really on ground? Now, if you can hear me, I was asking you that with all of the efforts from the Central Bank of Nigeria, what is really on ground with regards to Nigeria's cotton industry?
Yes, thank you. As you started off by saying that the Central Bank of Nigeria has actually taken bold steps along with the government of the President Muhammadu Buhari to revive the CTG sector, cotton, textile, and garment sector. And I think bold steps have been taken, just like you rightfully pointed out, from 2019, where, for instance, we had about 90,000 farmers engaged directly under the Anchor Bora program to cultivate cotton. And from that exercise, we were able to produce about 125,000 metric tons. Which, if you compare it to 2018, which was around about 80,000 metric tons, you can see that there's actually some improvements there. Now, in the 2020, despite the challenges of COVID-19, where we had originally about 121,000 farmers ready to participate, but then, of course, we had, just as was earlier in your report, where you had flash floods and drought, incidences of drought, insecurity, unfortunately, and so on. But we were able to engage at least 90,000 plus farmers again. And our projection is for 136,000 metric tons of seed cotton. So we're expecting that, of course, that will happen, will come to pass. We had, of course, delays in harvest, but chiefly about 90% of our farmers have started harvesting from the beginning of this month, January. So we're hoping that, this intervention will continue, and as it continues, obviously we'll record, results. Without the, bedrock of the CTG sector, which is cotton cultivation, I think the rest of the value chain will suffer. So that's what has been achieved so far as we're speaking.
So indeed, I think there's going to be a transition period for us to start getting the results that you've talked about, because many are talking about results, we're talking about jobs here, because a lot of jobs can be created in this sector. So how long are we looking at? Because Nigerians, who we are, all we want to see is a result. So when are we expecting to start buying our own cotton, our own materials, our own textile materials? Can we project?
Yeah, well, I'm glad to say that, actually, that the results have started being recorded. When the program started, you only had about 6 or so ginneries that were in the program. But at least from the 2020-2021 season, we're seeing about 16 ginneries already that are participating in the program. We're also seeing that you have at least about 4 to 5 composite textile mills and some garmenting companies that have also come up on stream. So we believe that at least the impact of not only the improvement in cotton production has also led to, extension agents being engaged and, up the value chain. So we believe that the impact has already commenced. Now, the use of, let's say, Nigerian-produced cotton in our fabrics, where for garments, has already commenced as well. The CBN did not just say, okay, look, let's support farmers to produce, or let ginners also be encouraged to gin and join the program. But the CBN went as far as tying the Uniform Services of Nigeria in an MOU, whereby they have to source, or they should source their fabric, uniform fabrics from Nigerian cotton. One significant step that we have taken using Nigerian cotton is the production of cotton harvest bags made from Nigerian cotton. And of course, that plays back to quality aspects. So if we are using cotton harvest bags, it means that we're avoiding the stigma of Nigerian cotton being polypropylene contaminated.
Let me ask you this. Lately, we saw that you and your association okays the introduction of biotechnology cotton into the Nigerian market. Can you take us through the positives you expect from this?
Well, at least, first and foremost, the hybrid cotton seeds that we have endorsed are supposed to help us with being drought resistant, also being pest resistant to an extent, which means obviously we will not be spraying as much as we currently do, of up to maybe 6 spraying regimes. It cut it down to about 3 spraying regimes. We're expecting the yields also to be far better than what we're experiencing. I think the minimum, because there are 2 varieties that actually we have endorsed. The one, the minimum is about 2.2 metric tons. The other one, the minimum is 3.2 metric tons. So we're looking at, with proper agronomic practices being engaged and deployed, that we're talking about being able to achieve also 4 metric tons per hectare. So those are the kind of benefits that we are also hoping that we can get from the introduction of the hybrid seeds. Now we're working on making sure that the hybrid seeds will be well spread, that is distributed to our farmers in the coming season. But in the past season, we just had a few, because it's, the commercial release was just in, if I'm not mistaken, August 2019. So for us to actually utilize it, For 2020, we were only able to get certain quantities, but we're pushing to make sure that at least for this coming season, 2021 wet season, we'll be able to utilize as much as the hybrid seeds as possible.
All right. I'll hold you on. We're still going to come back to you, Mr. Chime. We're having live pictures from Washington. As President Trump is set to leave the White House abroad. As we all know that he's not going to attend the inauguration ceremony because, like he said, he's leaving and he wishes them good luck. He's supposed to board an Air Force One to his Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach, Florida. We will be tracking this and bringing you up to speed with what's playing out. Okay, he has boarded, but he is yet to take off, and he will be moving to his Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach, Florida. So we will be bringing you up to speed with all of this as it plays out. Stay with TVC News. We will be right there to bring you top reports from the United States. All right, now, before I let you go now back to what more challenges or what more do you think government need to do to make your job easier and to empower more farmers to get into the cotton industry and take advantage of the potential in this market? Let's end it on that note.
Yeah, well, to be honest, we would always say that we want more. So far, government has done the best they can, and they are doing the best they can. What perhaps, we don't have control over is unfortunately insecurity and banditry that is going on at the moment. And it has affected some of our farmers, whereby they can't go into the farms to harvest, or whereby where they have actually harvested and they've been paid. We understand that the bandits have information, and they go and maybe at night knock on their doors and collect their monies. So yes, that is there. We want to encourage government to, continue the program because, it's a work in progress. Sustainability is our target to ensure that we're not only producing significant quantities, but we're also producing good quality cotton because we want to contribute to the GDP of this country. We want to contribute significantly to the foreign exchange earning capacity of our nation. Cotton is a very good example. We also want to be able to encourage investments by foreigners, into the Nigerian economy in the CTG sector. The market is huge, and perhaps what we'll say to government in that regard is to look at some of the policies that would encourage investors to come into, the Nigerian CTG sector. If we can produce significant quantities, then I know that investors will be ready to put their money and down, to go into the sector. So, government has tried. We are talking to CBN, of course, little challenges here and there, dotting the I's, crossing the T's that are required. But to me, significantly, if we look at the program, it has been a success, and it will continue to be a success by the grace of God.
All right, and back to, I hold you on again, Mr. Chimogu. I'm still going to ask you a final question, but we'll go straight to live pictures from the White House as Donald Trump is now on board and is leaving. He's taking off, actually, and this is happening for the first time in more than 150 years when the world watches the transfer of power and the absence of an incumbent at an inauguration, a tradition which was last broken 152 years ago. This is serious. He is deserting the White House of the festivities, and this is the last time he's going to be flying the Marine One as the president of the United States of America. historic indeed with what is happening today in the United States of America. A lot of comments coming from everywhere. Last night at the Lincoln Memorial, 400,000 Americans were honored, and this is what a lot has really happened over the days, and we will be bringing you up to speed, like I said earlier, with live pictures and analysis as Joe Biden takes over as the next president of the United States of America. Back to Abuja now. On a final note, I was looking at the issue when people talk about central bank doling out monies for the cotton industry and other industries in the agricultural sector. And some people come out to say it doesn't really get to those that are players in that sector. Do you have that challenge talking about the cotton and garment industry?
No, look, I don't subscribe to that point of view.
Good.
Simply because at least being in the driver's seat, I know there are criteria that everybody has to meet, the farmers, industry players, and all that. But if you meet those criteria, which for me are achievable, you will actually get to participate in the program. So I don't believe that there are challenges in that. And I mean, funds. I mean, obviously we need funds. Input financing is key because the farmer is not able to, for instance, afford the exact recommended inputs that they need to be able to produce quality and produce quantity. Now that input financing comes into play there, and it helps. Also, I can tell you that the CBN is very passionate about also ensuring that every subsector of the value chain is revived, is engaged. They are talking recently about supporting the investment and development projects of spinning mills, because we have a gap currently in spinning in the CTG. So they are interested, and I think if even the projections that we have for this year, if we are able by God's grace to achieve them, and we achieve like 44,000 metric tons out of the 136, and we're able to process and achieve the 44,000 metric tons of cotton lint. If you do the calculation roughly, using current international prices and the dollar rate, we're talking of generating upwards of 37 billion naira, give or take. So, and when you look at what they've expended, so to speak, of course we're reconciling, we will reconcile. There should be a profit there of almost 3 to 4 billion. But so I think that this sector really has the potential to impact positively on the Nigerian economy and engage, Nigerians, because we remember if not too long ago, actually, that it was second to government in terms of employment. There's real capacity. Cotton is such a unique crop that you do not actually waste any part of cotton. Every aspect, from the farming, when you harvest the stock, cotton stock can be converted into briquettes for power generation, and also for particle boards and so on. And down the line, the surgical cotton wool. We're not talking about the oil also that you can extract from the cotton seed. So it is a vast industry. It's a vast value chain that I believe personally that should be encouraged, supported, for it to deliver the impact that we know it can to our economy.
National President of the National Cotton Association of Nigeria, Mr. Anebe Achimogwu. I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.